When talking about punk rock's explosive rise in the late 1970s, two names dominate the conversation, The Clash and the Ramones. Though they emerged from different countries and backgrounds, both bands were foundational in shaping the sound and spirit of punk. The Ramones, from the New York City, Queens neighborhood of Forest Hills, came up with their band name from an alias that Paul McCartney would use to conceal his identity when he checked into hotels. The Ramones got their start at the dingy Bowery Club CBGB's, where they stripped rock and roll down to its rawest elements, delivering fast, loud, and simple songs that stood in defiant contrast to the bombastic, progressive rock of the era. The band pretty much laid down the blueprint for the punk rock genre, with bassist Dee shouting out 1, 2, 3 before launching into each short but catchy song. Their no-nonsense approach to rock really tapped into the energy and angst of the time. The Ramones' self-titled debut in 1976 was a shock to the system. 14 songs in under 30 minutes, with tunes like Blitzkrieg Bop, Beat on the Brat, and Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue, lyrics that were rebellious, strange, and often darkly humorous. The Ramones released 14 studio albums between 1976 and 1995, with a few lineup changes over the years. They were constantly on the road performing, defining the punk aesthetic with their leather jackets, bowl haircuts, and minimalist approach to music. Every punk band that followed, from the Sex Pistols to Green Day, owes a debt to the Ramones for showing that anyone could pick up a guitar, learn 3 chords, and make a statement. The Ramones desperately tried to get a single on American radio to no avail, even polishing and taming down their sound somewhat for the Phil Spector-produced 1980s End of the Century. The band starred in the rock comedy film Rock and Roll High School, released in 1979, but it did little to improve their commercial success. Meanwhile, over in England, The Clash was very much paying attention to what the Ramones were doing and even went to see them during their first European tour.
If that Ramones record hadn't existed, I don't know that we could have built a scene here, because it fulfilled a vital gap, if you like, between the death of the old pub rocking scene and the advent of punk. We knew how to get to the backstage window. And so when the Ramones were getting ready to do their concert, I was there, Simo, Jonesy, some of the Sex Pistols. We were in the back alley and we threw a rock at the window. I think Johnny Ramone stuck his head out and went, "What?" And we went, "Hey, this is the Clash and this is the Pistols and we need to get in." And so they kind of formed a sort of human chain and pulled us up through this window. And that was the first time we met them, and it was just a really great punk rock moment.
The Clash formed in London in 1976, billed as the only band that matters. The Clash consisted of lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist Joe Strummer, lead guitarist and vocalist Mick Jones, bassist Paul Simonon, and drummer Nicky Topper-Hedden. The Clash would infuse their punk energy with reggae, dub, ska, and even some funk at times, giving their music a political and global edge that widened punk's scope. Joe Strummer and Mick Jones wrote anti-establishment anthems of political resistance and urban frustration, all while increasingly experimenting with a variety of music genres. Songs like Career Opportunities, Police and Thieves, and best-selling albums like London Calling and Combat Rock are now seen as punk rock masterpieces. Their first 2 albums did well in the UK, but it was 1979's double album juggernaut London Calling that earned them popularity in the US. Rolling Stone would later name it the best album of the 1980s. The band achieved big commercial success with the release of 1982's Combat Rock, including the U.S. Top 10 MTV hits Rock the Casbah and Should I Stay or Should I Go. The album would go on to achieve double platinum sales status in the States. However, in 1982, drummer Topper-Hedden left the band due to internal friction surrounding his increasing heroin addiction, and Jones would leave the following year. Remaining members, Joe Strummer and Paul Simonon, would recruit new band members to release their final album, Cut the Crap, in 1985. Although the Clash only released 6 studio albums in their short time together, One of those was a double album, and the experimental Sandinista was a triple album. Many EPs and non-album singles were also put out. With the Clash, punk rock was elevated into something a little more revolutionary and complex. And as the Clash were admittedly influenced by the Ramones also had a mutual admiration for the Clash.
And of course I felt that we're the best at what we do. I couldn't see another band out there and say this band's better than us. So it's King of the Hill. Well, actually, for that one moment in time, I did think someone was as good, and that was the Clash. On the second album tour, these guys were as good as us.
In the battle between the Clash and the Ramones, there's no clear winner, just two bands that took different paths to punk greatness. The Ramones were able to hang around longer, but the Clash achieved greater commercial success. Raw energy versus revolutionary purpose. Both of their legacies still echo in modern rock, punk, and indie music scenes. So what do you think? Which band defined punk more? Please comment below. And if you like our content, subscribe to the channel for more music meanderings.